All right, let's go through the typical watch list setup and try to identify any potential movers for April 9th and onwards. Most of these we have already seen in some shape or form. Let's see if any new developments have popped up. Yeah, that's one I managed to grab yesterday. Um, let's see how it develops. Looks good. Above the base, you have a well-defined exit. Pretty much anything below the base and below yesterday's low would invalidate. So that's a nice straightforward one. Yeah, I wasn't able to grab this one. I missed it. I think it broke out, yeah, a bit later in the day. But definitely willing to watch this one. Let's see how it handles around these levels. Maybe I can catch it on the way back. Yeah, a lot of these names popped up yesterday with the news. So that might deserve a watch if this one manages to trend a bit, set a new higher base, and then maybe run from there. It definitely deserves some attention. Although you could argue that it's driven by the speculations in the um, fertilizer supplies, so not necessarily a name you would like to be positioned in for a long duration of time. Yeah, that looks like a good base. Basically, the chart is setting up nicely. It's on the low ADR side. Nevertheless, a setup is a setup. So I'm going to keep this one in the watch list. Has a pretty solid volume as well. Good market cap. So this one potentially might be a runner. Yeah, still waiting on this one to develop. To be fair, until it breaks this level, I don't think it would pick up a lot on volume. But let's see. Too low of a volume. Auto took another day to set up, but at least it's keeping these 20-day levels. So the more it bases, the higher conviction you may get, but the volume definitely needs to pick up. Ahmad had a nice push. Yeah, a lot of these names yesterday were gap and go, so hard to define a range. For the first hour, they were trending non-stop, and then they faded and pushed back in the last hours of the sessions. But if you were not here in already, it makes little sense to chase on these lows. Yeah, same here, right? So you have somewhat of a nice chart, pressure being built, bases being formed, but it's not you cannot trade each and every market environment, right? So for example, speculation news is yesterday, which caused all the big movers to just gap up. They leave you without any levels to play around at. So where are you gonna enter this one? You don't have any reference, right? You cannot enter it on a open, hoping that somewhere close would be a daily low. You don't have reference points to play against. There is little edge in chasing these. So give it a few days, give it a week for it to form some levels, which could grant you better risk reward ratios. Until then, merely on the watch list and nothing else. Yeah, this one seems to be basing okay. You had a solid first leg, but again, very speculation driven. Quite all of these oil and gas names are quite reliant on the anything oil and gas related, which these days we have plenty of. Might not necessarily be your best attention grab. Yeah, likewise here, right? So yeah, you could argue that there is some base and new levels being trying to be established, but what are you going to play this against? All right. Well, this looks pretty nice. Not for another reason because it starts playing around with a level that has been active for a year and 3 months. So you might argue that if this pushes, it definitely wants to try the next range, which is 30% up. So that's for sure on your watch list. But it needs to pick up on the volume side. This volume is just not adequate for you to chase. Wow, this name got so cute. I remember being very unhappy that I wasn't able to grab it here on the open because intraday it really did a solid move, and then this name just got killed. That's why you need to respect your levels, right? Yeah, this name we basically reviewed it yesterday on the stream as well. Setting up nice. If it manages to push above these levels, it might get some additional traction. Volume is on the nice side as well. So this one could definitely pop. Yeah, nothing interesting so far. Mostly revisiting similar structure patterns where you just have a gap up nowhere. Yeah, fly we spoke about briefly yesterday. Anytime you see stock trending around your recent highs and then having inside days without much downside signals a lot of strength. So I'm not entirely surprised by this move. Yeah, this one was a nice grab. Let's see how long it would last. I entered this one on Tuesday, I think, end of day. Basically when it broke this range. Let's see how much it has room to climb. This set is definitely a name that looks like it wants to push higher. It absorbed the market weakness very quickly. Um, all these crazy moves, they're just. If you would be in this trade, you would definitely have a nervous breakdown at some point. So many of these charts are just identical, especially in the semiconductor space. But this needs few days to set up. Unlikely this would start running, and all of the charts that look similar would start running suddenly out of nowhere. I'm guessing it would try to base on the new levels, and then the ones that manages to push might have some willpower to grow, and the other ones would just get rejected. All right, that's an interesting mover. Yeah, keeping a close eye on this one. It shook me out already once. I did not enter yesterday, but it's starting to look better. Definitely, it is already in a higher range. It has based higher this time as well. So this one is a top watch for me. Yeah, that's a good looking one. To be fair, should have been in by now. Um, because this stock is definitely doing discovery, right? You don't know where this one can push at. So high ADR, excellent volume. 3 inside days already. So if there is some market weakness at the open today, any place here, I'm definitely looking to do a grab, and then potentially where they stop somewhere at these levels, giving it 1 ADR. But you gotta respect the relative trend. Well, this one looks interesting as well. Did not gap up yesterday like everyone else. At the same time, it's very much within above the 8-day, which is trending up. Good ADR, good cap, good volume. Let's see if this base manages to bring something. Yeah, that's something I already tried here. Got shaken out on this day. But if you could stay around here, maybe reclaim the 8-day. I'll be looking to track how it develops. Okay. Very speculation name, right? You have a 100 million of a market cap. Let's see how it acts against some key levels. Yeah, I'm still in this one. I haven't really touched it. Let's see if it loses this level. That counts as invalidation for me, so I'll be looking to exit. Until then, looking to touch this one. Let's see if it has power to run. Yeah, that looks quite good. Not gonna lie. Volume is disaster, but manages to do a breakout on some serious participation, then it deserves a follow. Yeah, happy with this one as well. Acted quite nice yesterday. I have no plans for it. Want to see how it digests. It's basically moving in new ranges. It's showing an amazing relative strength. So that's a name that to be honest, I would more add into rather than collect. Even with the current uncertain times, it's the relative strength here is just amazing. Yeah, this name definitely deserves some love. Looking how it tries to squeeze, but until then, staying cautious. Same here. This one looks like it wants to go. It has digested these levels quite nicely. Earning session a couple of weeks from now, but maybe it could make a move. Yeah, previous leader. Maybe this one establishes new ranges as well. Maybe they'll do a stock split soon. Who knows? Yeah, back to basics. Nothing really that deserves special attention. Let's do a quick scan just to see and identify anything that has moved with power, just for the sake of pattern recognition, right? You need to keep your eye sharp on these setups without without any conviction in either direction, of course. Most of these are completely random. Yeah, this one I've been tracking. I missed it here. Um, then it went completely off my radar. Random. Can't really expect otherwise, right? The market was beaten up, not a lot, but enough so the charts get disturbed, and then the ones that move now just move with some gap ups, not really out of solid basis or foundations. So not to expect it to see that most of these are one-day moves. All right, well, maybe that's one worth analyzing. There are two immediate things that one can see here. Well, for sure, you can definitely measure it against the market, right? So at a time when the market was so these are the levels of the market, right? So the market was 7% down, and yet this name somehow MRX. Okay, I'm gonna remember it this time. But it's funny that it started basing the moment market tried to push, and then when it was ready, it was ready. As a pattern, I think that deserves attention. So you have two triggers. One is for sure the range break. You can see how it has played around on that range, and then after the push, well, it's a pretty good move. Percentage wise, it's nothing special. Pattern wise, it's pretty good. Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna do some more analysis in the background. That's it for now. Thank you.